Hi everyone, today I'm going to tell you a little story. Once upon a time, at the beginning of 2013, there was a younger me browsing random Wikipedia pages, as I do from time to time in my spare time. Somehow I ended up on the Wikipedia page about Gan Chinese and bumped into this Chinese poem from the Tang dynasty. The poem is called Chūn, that means spring dawn, and it's written by the poet孟浩然, who lived in 691 to 740 AD. So that was quite a few centuries ago. Let's hear this poem, shall we? 春眠不觉晓，处处闻啼鸟。夜来风雨声，花落知多少。 Okay, of course, it didn't quite sound like that when it was written, or did it? I mean, this was modern standard Mandarin pronunciation. The characters are the same, but back then they were pronounced in a quite different way. Indeed, I did try to reconstruct how, more or less, how they would have sounded back then. Linguists have reconstructed the phonemes of Middle Chinese, though different authors reconstruct phonemes differently. So what I did was get the phonemes off of the Wiktionary. So character by character, I looked the characters up in the Wiktionary and copied the pronunciation in the reconstructed Zhengzhang Shenfeng system. I chose one. I chose this one because I'm lazy and I just selected the one which stuck out in the Wiktionary. I don't know why they chose to make this one stick out. You know, before you expand the list of the pronunciation stuff, you see only that. So I took that. It's as valid as any other reconstruction. Tones are a completely different matter, because tones, we know there were 4 tones in early Middle Chinese that are known as pīng, or level, shēng, or rising, chū, or departing, and rū, or entering. So there's 4 classes of tones. We have absolutely no idea what the tones sounded like back then, because they evolved in such wildly varying ways in modern Chinese dialects. It is literally impossible to reconstruct what they were back then. We have no precise description of those tones, of the pitch contours of those tones back then. So what I did was invent some contours. So what I did was, well, pīng means level, so we make it level. We make it a straight note like the first tone of modern Mandarin. Rising, yeah, well, so it must be rising, like the second tone of Mandarin or something like that. Then I have departing. What the hell does that mean? I don't know, but we have level, we have rising, why not make it falling? And then the entering tone is just an abruptly cut tone, so it's a beep, very short thing, which is immediately cut off by the unreleased stop after the vowel. But that's not the end of it, because we're talking about 691 to 740, that's in the period of late Middle Chinese. And late Middle Chinese had a split in each tone class. The dark and light registers, the yin and the yang tone registers. So, unfortunately, the Wiktionary does not say what register each character belongs to. But from what I gather from Wikipedia, it seems that dark registers were caused by voiceless consonants, whereas voiced consonants would cause light registers. So I just took this and made it a rule. So voiceless, dark, voiced, light. So how do I make this emerge in my reading of the tones? Well, I lower the contour of the dark tones, which means that dark even will be something like a 3-3 or a 1-1, whereas 5-5 will be the light even. The dark rising will be 1-3, whereas 3-5 will be the light rising. The dark entering will be 3-1, whereas we'll have 5-1 for the light entering, and we'll have a 5 and a 1 respectively for the light and dark entering. Did I just mix up the entering and the departing? Whatever. Okay, so now the pronunciation that I found on the Wiktionary is extremely hard to make. So I might mess up on the light versus dark distinction. So don't expect the greatest of precisions. Now I have to read the transliteration from my computer because there's no way I'm going to memorize it. It's too hard for me. So watch me as I painstakingly process this transliteration and pronounce it for you. Have fun. Chūn Hill. Men Hàau-nyiẹ xia chi.春眠不觉晓 xiǎo mián niâo夜来风雨声花落知多少. There you have it. This should be close enough, at least in the sound. Maybe the tones are completely wrong. Whatever. It should be close enough to how孟浩然would have said it when he lived. Okay, so why am I telling you all this? The aim of this video, the main purpose of this video was not to amuse you with this weird-ass Middle Chinese thing. Let's go back to our story, shall we? So, beginning of 2013, the previous summer, I had met this Lebanese guy in the Rimini meeting, and I knew he spoke Arabic. Now, I'm a weirdo who likes to study random languages in his spare time and actually try to translate stuff into languages he knows next to nothing about, just by learning the basics of how the grammar works in those languages, and then word by word composing sentences. And I bump into this poem. I have this guy who could correct my translation into Arabic. I say, why not? So I translated this into Arabic. Now, first, before we hear the Arabic translation, which is the apex of this video, the climax of this video, I think we should understand what the poem says. So, first of all, when I translate a poem, I usually try to keep the meter and more or less the length. In this case, this is impossible even in English because the Chinese is extremely condensed. Just to give you an idea, let me translate it to you character by character. So, spring, sleep, not, feel, dawn. Place, place, hear, tweet, bird. Night, come, wind, rain, sound. Flower, fall, know, many, few. And you'll be like, what the hell does that mean? Yeah, well, I told you the Chinese was very condensed. So, let me give you a translation. Okay, I think it is completely impossible to keep the 4 5-syllable line structure of the original poem, even in English, let alone in Arabic, which I basically don't know. I'll tell you a couple of things about my level of Arabic in a while, but in English it's impossible to keep this. So I translated this into 4 iambic pentameters. That's twice as many syllables as in Chinese. So, if in spring you sleep and do not feel dawn, with birds a-singing everywhere you go, then when night comes with sound of wind and rain, do you know just how many flowers fell? Seems like an interesting poem, right? Now, I originally misinterpreted this poem. Now, a couple of language notes. Now, place means everywhere, and many few is the way to say how many. When I first translated this into Arabic, I was pretty convinced that huā, that's flower for, actually meant to waste. So the original translation of this thing was and the night comes with sound of wind and rain. You've wasted lots. Do you know just how much? But then yesterday I looked this up and the internet told me otherwise. So I just changed the translation. Arabic. Now the thought process behind the translation into a language I know almost nothing about, like I had this Iraqi Erasmus girl in my class in the last course I followed in uni, which ended just last week. And when I have classmates who speak different languages, I tend to look up expressions, greetings on the dictionary in those languages. So I looked up how are you in both Kurdish and then Arabic. So one day I said, كيف حالك? And she answered, بخير. You know how I understood what she said? Because I connected it to the expression كل عام وأنتم بخير, which, if I remember correctly, means Happy New Year. So it's like, to understand happy, I reconstructed via the expression Happy New Year. That is my level of Arabic. Pretty low, isn't it? And yet, I managed to pull off a translation. Now, the thought process of the translation itself, if I ever start my blog, will be described in a blog post about this thing, because otherwise this video would be far too long. Now, flash forward some 3 years from then, so we get to sometime around New Year's Day 2016. I was on a pilgrimage in the Holy Land, and I thought back to this translation, and I thought, why don't I cantillate it? You know, like when people recite sacred texts from certain religions. For example, cantillation is a term I found on Wikipedia for special signs used in Hebrew Bibles to indicate this kind of voice modulation, pitch modulation in reciting the Bible. So I added some cantillation. Now the extension of this cantillation is decidedly too big, but whatever. I'm not changing it for anything. In the process, I brushed up my translation and I said, whoa, this is wrong. Actually, what I did was turn it into more classical language, so I added the case endings back in. Modern Standard Arabic loses them as far as I know. Classical Arabic didn't lose them, so I added them back in, because coupled with cantillation, classical, so it makes it sound very solemn. And, well, of course I had to correct the mistake I pointed out before, and then there's the when that came in as a result of the correction of the mistake. So there were a few corrections that I did like yesterday, actually some yesterday, some today. By the way, today is the 1st of June 2017, so that's a year and a few months from the time I thought back to the translation and added the cantillation. I also had to modify the cantillation itself because the number of syllables grew as I corrected the mistakes. But enough chit chat, let's just hear this translation's cantillated thingy. Wish me luck. Arabic speakers listening, have fun while I butcher your language. Okay, no, this is a bit exaggerated, but be ready for any pronunciation and especially grammar mistakes in this translation, because that Lebanese guy, I posted the translation to Facebook tagging him, but he did not quite respond. Then I reposted it when I thought back to it. He did correct one mistake, I don't even remember what it was. It was something about purani, some kind of weird rule about plurals and genders, I don't remember. Anyways, إذا في الربيع نمت ولم تشعر الفجر وإنما في كل مكان تسمع أن الطيور تغني إذا عندما الليلة أتى والريح والمطر صوتا هل تتعرف كم أوراق وقوم. Hope that was good enough. Any comments are welcome. Now let me just go over the last two lines in the original version with the translation mistake and with no when. وَاللَّيْلَ أَتَى وَالرِّيحُ وَالْمَطَرُ صَوَّتَا هَلْ تَتَعَرَّفُ كَمْ فَقَدْتَ. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed your video. Feel free to smash that like button if you did. Comment below, share the video and whatnot. And have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video.